Jeffrey Epstein presented himself as a sophisticated financier, a man of science, philanthropy, and elite connections. He attended private dinners with Nobel Prize winners, met former presidents and prime ministers, and spoke publicly about funding education and research. But behind this polished image was a pattern of behavior that repeatedly brought him into contact with law enforcement. Multiple witnesses, court records, and sworn testimonies described Epstein as someone obsessed with control, power, and sexual access, especially through manipulation rather than normal relationships. Former associates said Epstein used wealth, intimidation, and secrecy to create an environment where people felt trapped. His lifestyle was not discreet. Private jets, secluded properties, and constant movement of young women raised concerns long before his final arrest. What's important here is this: Epstein's behavior was not hidden. It was known, reported, and even investigated, yet he continued operating. That contradiction is where the story truly begins. 2 arrests, deals, and a system that failed. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and investigated multiple times, beginning as early as the late 1990s and early 2000s. Police reports documented complaints from young women who said they were recruited, transported, and pressured into abusive situations. In 2006, Epstein was arrested in Florida, but instead of facing federal charges that could have put him in prison for life, he received an extraordinarily lenient plea deal. He served 13 months, much of it on work release, allowed to leave jail 6 days a week, up to 12 hours a day. This deal shielded potential co-conspirators, prevented further investigation, silenced victims through sealed agreements. Legal experts later called it one of the most controversial plea deals in U.S. history. Despite being a registered sex offender, Epstein resumed travel, rebuilt his social network, and continued operating with little restriction. The question is unavoidable. How does someone arrested for such crimes walk back into elite circles untouched? Parte 3. Wealth without explanation. Minute 10, gains. Epstein's financial story never added up. He had no publicly known hedge fund clients, no verified investment track record, no formal financial education. Yet his assets were enormous. The centerpiece was a Manhattan townhouse worth over $70 million, one of the largest private homes in New York City. He also owned a private island, multiple jets, and properties around the world. Les Wexner, the billionaire behind Victoria's Secret, gave Epstein unprecedented access to his finances. Epstein was granted power of attorney, allowing him to move money, buy property, and represent Wexner legally. Even today, financial investigators ask, was Epstein earning money or managing influence? Because in intelligence and organized power networks, money is often less important than information. Tiny part 4, intelligence, power, and unanswered questions. Epstein's connections extended far beyond business. He met former heads of state. He invested in surveillance and technology firms. He socialized with individuals linked to military and intelligence backgrounds. Some former intelligence figures have alleged Epstein acted as an information gatherer, collecting compromising material that could be used for leverage. These claims are allegations, not proven facts, but they are serious enough that journalists and lawmakers continue to ask why no full intelligence review has ever been released. What is confirmed is this: Epstein had access that ordinary criminals do not. He crossed borders without difficulty. He survived scandals that destroyed others. This suggests institutional protection, whether intentional or through shared interests. And then came the moment when answers were finally expected. Tidy Part 5, the death that ended the trial. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time by federal authorities. For the first time, a public trial was coming. For the first time, witnesses could testify openly. For the first time, powerful names were at risk. 1 month later, Epstein was dead, officially ruled a suicide. His death occurred in a high-security federal facility. While on suicide watch, that was later removed. with guards who failed to check on him, with cameras that malfunctioned. The result was absolute silence. No testimony, no trial, no full exposure. To this day, many victims say justice was taken from them, not by Epstein, but by the system that failed to protect them at every stage. Final conclusion: strong, reflective, close. Jeffrey Epstein's crimes were real. His arrests were real. The suffering of his victims is undeniable. What remains unresolved is how long he was allowed to operate, who enabled him, and why accountability stopped at his death. This is not a story about ideology or identity. It is a story about power protecting itself. And until every financial trail, political connection, and institutional failure is openly examined, the Epstein scandal will remain unsolved. The following names appear in court documents: flight logs or testimony related to Jeffrey Epstein. Inclusion does not imply guilt or criminal wrongdoing unless stated by a court of law. Names that appear in Epstein-related records. These are legally established. Jeffrey Epstein, convicted sex offender. Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of sex trafficking, minors. Jean-Luc Brunel, accused recruiter, died before trial. Close associates employees: Sarah Kellen Epstein, assistant, name my victims. Nadia Marcinkova, alleged recruiter, not charged. Adriana Ross, assistant, named in civil cases. ULIs, names in flight logs, contacts. Travel or contact crime: Bill Clinton, named in flight logs, no charges, denies wrongdoing. Prince Andrew, accused in civil case, settled without admitting guilt. Ehud Barak admitted meetings, denies wrongdoing. Alan Dershowitz, accused in civil suit, denies allegations. Bill Gates confirmed meetings after Epstein conviction. Leon Black, financial ties, paid Epstein for tax advice. Glenn Dubin, social connection, denies wrongdoing. Marvin Minsky, MIT, accused posthumously. Larry Summers attended events, no accusations. George Mitchell, named in testimony, denies wrongdoing. Financial/business connections: Les Wexner, primary patron, gave Epstein a power of attorney. Charles Brotman, social network, overlaps. Mort Zuckerman, listed contact. Thomas Pritzker, listed contact. T.I., political LA contacts, named, not charged. Donald Trump, social contact, in the 1990. Second, no flights logged. Hillary Clinton, named in emails, no allegations. Etude Olmert, social overlap, no charges. Shimon Peres, indirect association via Maxwell family,